Hi guys, welcome. My name's Rev. I'm with Dirty20Dnd Productions. This is one of our first cocktail videos. So I'm a Houston-based sommelier and amateur mixologist. We wanted to do something special since we are going to be doing this podcast and stream kind of like a brewcast in the sense that we're going to be drinking. We want you guys to be able to drink with us. So as a note, we're going to for sure be drinking anytime we roll a Dirty 20. So that's any 20 that is not natural. You know, it might be a 16 and all of our character bonuses maybe like a +4, puts us there. Dirty 20, we're gonna knock something back. We want you to be able to join us. So whether it's maybe one week where we're gonna be tasting a certain scotch, that video we might just do an educational video on scotch in general and that particular maker. When we're doing a cocktail that week, we'll have a video for it, just to show you how to make it. That way you can drink along. Let's get started. Okay, so today we're going to be doing a Vesper Martini. So we've got beaker here, stirring spoon, Hawthorne strainer, plus I'm using a fine mesh. We'll get to how you can choose to not use it if you want. Jigger, and then I'm going to be using a tool that is for zesting. It's got the kind of scratcher here, and then it's also got basically a peeler so you can start doing the garnish. Okay, so getting started, Vesper Martini. It is a classic James Bond drink. Essentially, there are 3 parts. We're doing gin, vodka, and then in a typical martini you have dry vermouth. For a Vesper, it's got a very particular liqueur called Lillet Blanc. Originally it was Quina Lillet, but they no longer make it. So Lillet Blanc is the closest that we can get to it nowadays. Super easy cocktail. You can shake a martini. I prefer to stir it, primarily because you get a little bit better dilution of the ice, chills it down a little bit better. And with a drink that's as heavy, if you have a booze heavy drink, cocktail, you want to be stirring it more likely than shaking it. Stirring will help dilute the ice a little bit faster, which means you're going to end up with something that isn't quite as impactful of a drink. And if it's already booze heavy, you don't want to be turned over by the end of the night. So let's get started. We're using, like I said, vodka and gin. So we start with 3 ounces of gin. I like to use greenhouse gin. They kind of tout that they've been going since 1761, which would make them one of, if not the oldest gin distillery in the world. Whether that's true or not, they're fantastic. They use incredible aromatics. Their recipe is both timeless and secret, but they have had several master distillers on their staff over the 200 plus years. So highly recommend Greenhalls. I think they're fantastic. So what we do when we're stirring, we want to put all of our liquid in first, because if you start with your ice, it will already start to dilute, already start to break down, and we want to have full control over that. So 3 ounces of gin, then we move on to 1 ounce of vodka, and then finally we go to a 1/2 ounce of the Lillet Blanc. Lillet Blanc is, you can kind of see it's in a wine style bottle, which is kind of what makes it an appropriate substitute for vermouth. Both of them are wine based. Lillet Blanc has been going since Lillet as the brand has been going since 1887. Lillet Blanc is, again, a fairly new recipe for the franchise, less than 100 years I want to say. Really incredible, but even just kind of sniffing it now. So you get the bright aromatics, the juniper, obviously lavender, everything coming from the gin. Vodka is not producing much of the aromatics that you're going to be getting here. The Lillet, though, is going to bring just hints of honeysuckle, a little bit of freshly zest lemon. That brings us to the next bit, though. Before I'm going to add the ice, Some recipes call for a wide peel. I honestly prefer, that's for the garnish, I prefer a little bit more incorporation out of it. So I'm going to zest just a little bit into the beaker before stirring it, and then that's particularly why I've got the fine mesh strainer. I don't want flecks of lemon zest in my cocktail, so I'm just going to give a little bit of a zest. Doesn't take a lot, you know, maybe 2 or 3 passes with it. Get it all off in there. Once we start stirring, that'll actually nicely incorporate into the cocktail, and then we'll give this as a garnish later. So you can take ice cubes whole and toss them into the beaker and go for it. 3 or 4 is fine. If you can, we'll see if I can break them. If you can, you want to break them. Different sizes of ice, they're going to melt and incorporate into the cocktail differently. So that's another benefit to mixing and breaking the ice as opposed to shaking. You get kind of an uneven blend. If you drop some, it's no problem. Like I said, all ice is going to be fine, even if you don't want to break it or risk smacking your fingers. It'll all incorporate just the same. So I'm doing about 5 cubes of ice here. Typically, when you stir, so we're going to start stirring now. You would go, if you're going to do a stirred beverage, for a little over 2 or 3 minutes. It's going to take a little bit longer, a little bit more work while you're making a stirred beverage as opposed to a shaken one. So you want to keep going. Occasionally you'll alternate direction, but very easy. It's just a push and a pull motion. And yeah, so hopefully in editing we'll get to speed this up and make it a lot easier for you guys. Okay, we're stirred up. We should be all set. So place the Hawthorne strainer over the beaker. Right hand, so you basically want to place your forefinger over the strainer to hold it in place. Fine mesh over the glass. I'm using a coupe glass because I don't have any Martini glasses available to me, but both are good. If you do it right, should just perfectly fit over it. And then we use again that tool just to give ourselves a nice little garnish. Okay, cut myself quite a bit. Be safe when you're garnishing your stuff, but no worries. Clean it off, you're gonna be good. Boom, perfect. Doesn't need to be too long. Once you've got a small strip, just start winding it, try to make it into a nice little spring. Helps too if you kind of do it over a finger and then pull it off. Gets the form nice and done. Just on there, and then you've got yourself a Vesper. Enjoy.